I promise I'll try and keep it as engaging as possible. To start with my introduction, let me tell you, I am Upasana Kindra, which you can see on the slide as well. I'm working with DPS International as a career counselor as well as a behavioral counselor. And with me today, I have another speaker joining us virtually from Surat. She's a counselor working with DPS in Surat. So can we have her join in so that she can say her hello to the people sitting here? All right, so here she's Ekta from DPS Surat, and she's joining us virtually. So we are trying to coordinate between each other, though we thought that we are going to have a bigger panel, but we are more than enough, I think. Right, Ekta? All right. So, well, I have been sitting through a lot of sessions, and I have heard common themes. Even I was there at Samir sir's session where we were talking about, things like how to prepare our students. So when we're talking about preparing our students, we are talking about things that are going to happen which we don't know, right? So we just can't predict right now what's going to happen. So preparing them for something which is uncertain. And I know that resilience has become kind of a buzzword these days, and all of us are talking more about resilience since we are in a pandemic, and we have seen how the whole workforce and how the work culture and everything has changed. So before we begin with our presentation, can I just ask you a small little question as to how career resilient you people feel you are? I mean, if I say there are 3 things to choose from, it will be just something for you to reflect on, probably all through the session. So do you feel you are as strong as an oak tree? You know, it's difficult to move. Or maybe like a sturdy tree with a good root system, but maybe a few weak branches here and there. And the third one is a newly planted sapling. Even a small breeze can destroy it. So where do you think you fall on the continuum? So, just keep seeing.
Becoming very stagnant. Started my own startup. I wear the 2 badges of failure of starting 2 startups, one US-based, one India-based. Education is holy cow. Everybody wants to milk it. So I joined a very big, world's biggest media house, Fox Network Group, and what we popularly known as National Geographic Channel, to as a project lead for India on an education program. Figured out that's something I didn't want to do. Took a break, traveled around 4 or 5 different countries, finding my passion. I thought I zeroed down on 2 things. I thought opening up a coffee shop to have conversations with people, what I enjoy the most. And I happened to meet the director of a present school. And, and every 5 years, I want to change, because I believe that every experience I've had so far in my life has helped me become a better version of myself. So I'm sum total of my experience. I've had 4 changes in career. Now I choose to be a vice principal by design. I had recently choice to join one of the world's biggest education testing company as South Asia director, but I had a choice to stay vice principal. I chose to be latter. So I think I'm the middle one, not very strong.
Thank you for all the inputs. In fact, Benjamin Franklin said something about change. He said, if you finish changing, you're finished. So that's so yes. So what we are going to do today is we are just going to try to open the door towards trying to understand as to how to incorporate resilience in our career development curriculum. And, till now we've been only thinking about or talking about or using the individual characteristics of, say, intelligence, personality, aptitude, and all of this, and trying to build up on a lot of other skills. But resilience, we have talked about generally, we have talked about putting it in curriculum, but can we look into putting resilience as a construct in our curriculum of career counseling in schools? So that's something that we're going to explore together. And let me just begin with something, and that is there's not enough research right now, so it is at exploratory stage. So I also started exploring. I was starting to write a paper on it, but then IC3 happened, so I thought, why not start my exploration here and probably have a larger audience who becomes busy with me me and joins me in this endeavor where we can, build up a curriculum where we have factors of resilience imbibed and inculcated. I do remember Rekha ma'am talking in the last session that we cannot have everything structured in a curriculum way. So I agree to her to a great extent, but yes, like Sameer sir said, we need to have a framework where we will start consciously talking about resilience as a career counselor in schools. So that is the whole idea behind it today. So the entire presentation will be divided in 3 major heads. So where we are going to talk, the first part will be about just talking about what resilience or career resilience is. The second part of the session will be more about why resilience, or what is the need to build resilience in the school students. And third, and the most important one that we're going to focus more today on, is how to bring it in the curriculum. So that is where I'm going to talk about a toolbox for counselors. So it will be, I'm hoping you go back enriched with some tools where, okay, at least I know how to bring in resilience in my curriculum, but that is just an indicative tool. That's not the tool. That's something that obviously we have researched upon, looked upon, and secondary research. It's not something that I have worked on and primary research, but yes, secondary research, and definitely, I'm sure some of it you already must be doing in your practice, but let us just, explore it together, that how much you're already doing and how much you need to consciously inculcate it more in your practice. So that's what we're going to do today. So over to you, Ekta. And just a disclaimer, we are no experts in positive psychology or resilience per se. We're exploring it together, right? And aren't we all stories of resilience to some extent or a great extent? I mean, if you're sitting here, we just heard one story here, and how we all are, with our sanity intact and present here and presenting and listening. So we all are stories of resilience. Ekta, can you just speak and check?
Yeah, am I audible now?
Yes.
All right. All right. So I'll straight away dive into the resilient stories. All of us might be familiar with these cases, and of course, these are people who have achieved a lot in their lives. And we generally refer to the success stories of people, like how did they become successful, what all have they achieved. But while researching and while kind of doing our study on this particular topic, we thought, why not call it failure stories of successful people, because that's what we need to really dive into deep. What were their failures, and how did they come out of all of them? So, as you can see, Forever 21 owners, Mr. Chang, Scott Simpson, Dave, CEO. We also have Oprah Winfrey, and who doesn't know her name? I was particularly interested in talking while I was reading up for this about James Dyson. And I have a question on this. Would you know how many models of the vacuum cleaner, the famous vacuum cleaner, he probably came up with?
I just bought one, Ekta, for your information.
And it seems you are very happy about it.
V11, very good. I endorse. I'm not getting any money for it, but.
Okay. So my question is, just take a guess, how many models Mr. Dyson would have created?
Maybe 30, 40 iterations.
He says 30 to 40 iterations. Ekta, is he correct?
Okay.
We can have more guesses here.
No.
We can have more guesses. Wild guesses, 99. It sounds like, we are. Okay, 99.
So let's take one more and then
Okay, last guess. Wild one. More than 99. It's actually more than 99. So 150. Okay, Ekta, now you have to tell us.
yes. So Mr. Dyson actually created 5,126 prototypes before he came final one.
And he didn't
I
die.
went back to research.
Imagine.
Yes, and he kept on researching, kept on failing for 5 entire years in his life. He also, devoted all his savings financially, and of course, one gets invested emotionally. So I think when I said that we need to know about their failure stories, and that's what is going to help us know our own strengths and how do we move forward with them. All right, can we have the next slide, please? So, as we saw in the last slide, we could see that resilience means process of adapting. When Mr. Dyson would be doing all those experiments on his prototypes, he would be probably adapting, learning each time, understanding that there is some tweaking needed still in the prototype he had created. So, resilience is commonly referred to the process of adapting well in the face of adversity, trauma, tragedy, threats, or significant sources of stress. And at this point, I would like to draw your attention to the GIF we have placed on the slide. So, what do you, can someone tell me, what do you understand from the GIF? GIF?
So it's just a trick to wake
What
you up.
happens to the, yes?
He's getting some external pressure, and then like there's a change in the structure. What I feel. Is he coming back? Yeah, means he is being posed by external forces. There is some change in some alteration in the figure, and then it come back to the original form. This is what I could conclude.
Yes, yes. So, okay. So to be resilient, we need to manage the obstacle. It changes its shape. So primarily tenacity and adaptation in the face of adversity. That's what really stands out here. So that brings us to the next slide.
Oh, can we have? No. The previous one, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I asked them to go to the next slide.
All right. So I can take it up, Ekta, now?
Yes, for sure.
All right. So after after looking at what is the definition of career resilience, just to start it very formally, I thought that we'll take up the primary factors that constitute resilience. We'll not stay long on this slide. It's just to tell you that there have been a lot of theories where people have talked about 6 factors, 7 factors, and a lot of factors there. So we kind of thought it's always it's better to kind of have this iteration, which was done by Paul Bowyer in 1999. So it's very easily understandable where he's talking about I can, I am, and I have. So it very clearly explains what a resilient person looks like, where he says that I can develop social and interpersonal competencies. I have, where we are talking about, I have external resources and support system, which will help me when I need them and, use it for my benefit when I am under some stress. And thirdly is I am. I am talks about personal strengths, my attitudes, my, my vision, and everything that makes me what I am. And yes, we're talking about resilience here. So to take it forward, we thought of doing a small little survey, and this was something to just, kind of explore a little further on what we are doing. So it was done on a sample of 200 people over the period of around 2 to 3 weeks. And we had applied, a questionnaire by A.L. Seibert. So this is a questionnaire which had 20 items in it, and they were supposed to respond on a Likert scale. And we divided the group into, in fact, we divided them into 2 groups based on age group. So what we were looking at was how much is the difference between the resilience of one group versus the other. So one group was 25 and below, the other was above 25. And we didn't do gender discrimination here because it was not a very formal research. It was just a survey to get a quick understanding and see as to what is the difference in the resilience of both the groups. So on the maximum score of 100, the mean score, I mean, we did apply a small little statistical tool here of calculating the mean, the simplest probably. And the age group which was below 25, that group got a mean score of 50, whereas the age group above 25 got a mean score of 80. See, intuitively, we knew that there will be a difference where the group higher in the age spectrum will have a higher number there. But will it be, I mean, it was a revelation to see such a huge difference, which again, to some extent, I believe, talks about the need to, if not cover this gap, because obviously we learn with time, we learn with while we age and experience, but definitely we can build a little more into what is already happening in the schools, or do our bit as career counselors. And something which just stood out, this is not something that we were looking at, just stood out, despite so much of difference between their mean scores. The 2 items that I have mentioned there on the slide, these are the 2 which were the top 2 scoring in both the age groups. I mean, these were common. So this was something surprising. So both the age groups felt that they majorly are good listeners, have good empathy skills, and they have been made stronger and better by difficult experiences. So there is a lot to explore further. So that's what I said, and that's how I started. So moving on from here, so we can have Ekta join in. Okay.
Yeah. The earliest references to career resilience was made by London, 1983. And one of the 3 domains comprising career motivation was mentioned. And he defined it as a person's resistance to career disruption in less than an optimal environment. Again, talks about the how do we kind of get over the obstacles, be tenacious. And later, 24 years later, in 2017, Cascio again mentioned, and he said that career resilience will be an essential survival skill in the 21st century, as we all have been hearing about this, that if we really want our young youth to really survive happily and be successful, they will need to have resilience for sure, right from the very beginning. As our survey, or the fun survey which we did, it showed that the youngsters, as of now, while they are in school, would not have that much of resilience already built in them, and that's why the need is there that we prepare them for the ever-changing, evolving, dynamic world that they are going to be a part of. Yeah, can we have the next slide? Yeah, and this brings us to the second part of our presentation. That is, what is the need? Why do we need to really build resilience? So I'll explain this with the help of an example. How many people know what Tableau is? It's a data management system. What is Tableau? So many companies have started using Tableau instead of some other systems which they were already using for years. And people who are present in the companies, they have to train themselves in newer technological advances, newer systems, so to survive in the environment. Even if, and it's irrespective if they are an expert in any other technology which they have learned over the years. In any scenario, they will have to adapt to the changes that they are presented with. So I think that sets the stage for the second part. Over to you, Pasna.
All right. So why building resilience a crucial aspect of career counseling? So as you can see, we've very clearly mentioned. Can we? Is the slide visible? Can we make the slide a little visible so that they can read also? So it says the resilience-focused counseling and consultation process offers an optimistic, developmental, and wellness-promoting approach for assessment and intervention with school-related issues. So this is something which has been validated, has been researched, has been talked about in various other aspects, but not about building career resilience. But when we talk about school-related issues, so definitely that means that it can, flow over to even career-related issues where we are talking about resilience. So as Ekta already started and opened with an example about Pablo, how the things are constantly changing, how it is such a dynamic world. So non-linearity of professional trajectories, like he just started the presentation with that. So he is probably the soothsayer, and he started with something that I was going to talk about. So yes, it's not about job hopping now. It's about hopping from one career to another, and it's no more a teenager, just a teenager doing it, or somebody who's new to the job world who's doing it. It is something that well-established career professionals do, and we have heard a lot of stories about it. So how to have that kind of resilience where you survive in such a scenario where people who are more skilled are jumping from one to the other career. So you also have to survive in that scenario. Then need for new competencies. I mean, in this dynamic world, we need new competencies, and that's why we're talking about building resilience. And again, complex and challenging labor market. Again, if I give you a small example, you'll understand. So I was looking up this data on US patents being filed, year by year. And when I compared if I say compare 2020 to 2000, so that's a gap of 20 years in one particular field. I mean, there were a lot of different areas of patents, but I just took the first one. And they talked about, the number of patents in 2000 and 2020. In 20 years, it jumped from 3 times more than what it was in 2020. And I went to 20 years again back, that is 1980. It was again 3 times more. And I go back again to 1960. It was hardly anything. I mean, there was not much of a difference. It started from 80,000 in 1960 to probably just 104,000 something in 1980. So the way innovation has caught up, the way people are upskilling, reskilling themselves, the way things are changing, I mean, you are on the go. You have to be on the go all the time, and we have to prepare our kids. So I'll just move ahead from here because I said, and I promised that we will be spending more time on the tools, because that's something that I thought is the thing that you probably will be looking forward to. So here we have a quick comparison on your right-hand side. On your right-hand side, you can see these are all, the 7 steps of career development process. And if you look at your left side, this side, left side, these are the key resilience factors. So when we were looking at both of these, there's a whole lot of, similarity. So when the resilience factors and the career development factors, they are so similar. So why not have them, build them in the curriculum consciously, right? So that is what we thought that will be a good way to start. And yes, these linkages do tell us that we should look further, we should explore further, and all of us should go ahead and do more research into it. So now, coming to the last part of our presentation, and that is the design of the curriculum as far as career counseling curriculum is concerned, where the unifying theme in the curriculum will be career resilience, and that's what we're going to look into. So again, these are just suggestive, indicative. They're not all the activities that we thought of or we picked up from our research, but these will help you understand the various themes that are being looked at when we are designing the curriculum. So the themes that we have looked at when we are talking about the toolbox for a school counselor: promoting self-reflection, that is definitely important. Then helping them learn from failures, that will be another important theme in the activities that we are going to pick up. Bringing discussions about human resilience into the classroom, that's again very good way of building up. And building supportive relationships and support with the students. So again, these activities can be tailor-made as per the level that you want to start them with, and the kind of age group you're dealing with, the kind of the geographical constraints, or whatever your particular this thing is, your scenario is accordingly. So the very first thing that we are going to start with, no matter what activities you pick up, will be beginning with the parents, because parents form the major support system for any student. So we have to bring in parent in the sense that the parent has to understand that they are important for a child's resilience, and the child should know that the parents is always there, and consciously he should be made aware of this factor. No matter what, the parent will always be there to support. So it can be started with an icebreaker activity where the parents are reflecting as to how they can be a support to their students, their wards, and they come up with different stories and share with each other in the entire group. So this can be a good warm-up where the parents will be more accepting towards what we are talking about and the kind of skills we are talking about for their own children. So here they will also learn about the concept of resilience. So starting with the student activities, we have brought in just 8 activities for you surrounding the 4 themes that I told you. So we'll quickly see what those 8 activities are. So over to you, Ekta.
Yeah. So as you can see, there's a ball, and which is this activity can be a icebreaker activity, and it's a rubber ball. Can you tell me what are the characteristics of rubber ball? Of a rubber ball?
Yes, the characteristics of rubber balls. It bounces back. And so the lower it goes, the higher it comes up, right? That's what you meant? Higher the force. Okay. Okay, higher the force, higher it goes up. Great, Ekta. Anything else? Any other?
Also the ability to absorb the shocks.
Yes.
Because when you hit the ground, there are forces which acts back on you. In that context, how it absorbs and uses that as a thrust to sort of come back. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does make sense. And in fact, thank you so much for adding in so much, because this is what Ekta is also trying to say, that we have to brainstorm with students. They come up with wonderful answers, right, Ekta?
Yes, that's absolutely right. I think we've already had in the form of responses, whatever I had to tell. So as somebody said, bounce back. This activity can be a wonderful, introduction to resilience for the students in an inductive way. You can always ask your students the same question which I asked you here, and help them understand how a rubber ball bounces back each time it is thrown. Each time it is pressed, the harder it is thrown, the harder it comes back. And that's what we'll need to really develop in ourselves to face the ever-changing and evolving world. So this again can be a brainstorming thing and wonderful start to the concept of resilience. Now, the second one could be, this is a very creative activity, and it can be worked in groups. This is an exercise where the children will be able to see the diverse possibilities. So how do we do it? The teacher can ask, or the counselor can ask the children to make plans for work plans for a fictitious character. First, you can ask them to name their favorite fictitious character, and then you can ask them to, make work plans for that character, given the values, interests, and personality traits and skills. You can hand over one set of personality traits, values, interests as a package to one group, and include different things, and then probably ask them to come up with different work plans. And then what we can do is this, we can sit down and again brainstorm with the kids, and this makes them understand that one moment in time, one probably one exercise or understanding can open up so many diverse possibilities. Or if we have one skill, we can be exploring so many careers ahead in our lives, right? And in the last, what the teacher can do is probably these characteristics, these plans can be distributed to the students, to whomsoever they are best suited to, right? All right, over to you.
Okay, so we'll talk about the third activity, that's the bounce back challenge. So it's again one of my favorite activities, where what we do is we ask the children to write one of their skills and we group them, and they all have one of their skills written with them. And with that skills, we tell them to form a company and give a presentation and sell their product or service. So it can be just a presentation, can be an advertisement or something. So that's what they're going to do. So once they've done that, we now take away one very important skill from each group. And now they're left with, they have a group of good skills, but probably one of the most important that they probably thought is not now there. The person stays in the group, but the skill is taken away. Say it can be communication skills. So we purposely take away communication skills and we tell them to now present it. You have a company without the skill. So how will you do it? So it's nothing but challenging them. We are telling them that, obstacles are going to be there, and you have to succeed despite these obstacles. So we have to creatively design more activities around this idea, where we present them with challenges. We're doing it to a great extent, but maybe more consciously. So that's something that we can see. And on the other side, for all the activities, we've also given the key learning. We're not purposely reading them because we started late. And I know Sameer sir is looking at the watch, but I'm going to take extra time because we started late. So I'll make sure that we finish all the 8 activities, but we are not going to stay longer on each activity, because I know the lesson is something that you automatically imbibe when we just talk about the activity. And bringing in real life scenarios, where we give them a scenario. Say, for example, we tell them that you have to do a group work, but in that group, again, this is a group activity. We tell them that you have to do a group work. This is a scenario where you have one team member who's extremely disruptive. And no matter what, he always finds a fault with one or the other person and the way you're working. So now this is the situation. You cannot break up the group. You cannot choose your group, but you have to finish your work. So come up with 3 options. One will be a non-productive reaction, and 2 productive reactions. So they work in groups, come up with 3 different reactions, and then we tell them to choose one which really serves their purpose. So this is a wonderful way of telling them that they are in control of the situations. It's not the person who's disrupting, it's they who has to decide that they can decide how to work in a situation. Because I'm not just talking about kids. When I even talk to adults, I see a lot of them end up blaming situations. So I think we had a small discussion around this yesterday. So we can choose how we are going to react in a situation, and we can decide we will be successful or not. So over to you, Ekta.
Yeah. Can we have the next slide, please?
Oh, sorry.
So this activity talks about the hero within. the teacher or the counselor can ask the students to identify someone they admire, probably list down the qualities or something which they look up in that person. The next step could be we can ask them to find out or explore whether they have those qualities or not, right? And then what we can do is ask them to tell us the ways in which they can develop if they are, if they identify that this is one quality I need to develop. So this also helps the students to, to get thinking about their own qualities and how they are going to use it in future, right? And also they might understand that they might be already using some of these qualities to overcome obstacles in their life. This activity also helps them to get consciously aware that they do have heroic qualities, and if not, then how do they develop them? Yeah. So obstacle course is again a wonderful, very, very interesting activity. This actually helps them to understand that in times of adversity, how do we look around ourselves and, understand that there is help available. There are so many times that we miss out approaching people or the resources which we might have around us in our environment. So, for example, very common example, the students do not approach the teachers for any kind of career resilience in their, the career, direction or career advice to the particular subject teachers also. They would probably keep on asking their peers. They would ask, everyone around, but they would not really want to come to the person who would really know the best of that career. So I think this activity in here, two groups can be divided. This one group can be, blindfolded and guided, and by the rest of the class through an obstacle course. The second group can guide another volunteer who can have some kind of an assistance already. So this makes them, and then the results can be compared. This makes them, this helps them to understand that it's all right to ask for help if they are kind of faced with some situation where they would need some kind of an assistance. It's all right to approach the people, approach their circle of influence or their allies. I think that's going to be talked about in future slides. So this will be a very good activity to to understand personal responsibility, trusting people, right? Realistic appraisal of the environment, and also capacity to construct and come up with a meaningful interpretation of events, right? All right, that's about it.
Okay, thanks. So like Ekta was talking about Circle of Allies, we can have a reflection-based activity on Circle of Allies, because if you ask your students to write down as to who are the people whom they can turn to when they need help as far as support in career planning is concerned, no matter at what stage they are, no matter today or later. So this will help them actually explore further and not just only to a limited number of people, that is just their teachers or parents or their cousins or uncles and aunts. So they can also look further, because once they have reflected and once there's a brainstorming session and the group discussion and they listen to other people, so they'll get to know that even somebody living in their society who's a pilot, and they just know somehow that that person living in that area is a pilot, and this child wants to become a pilot. So he should definitely put him in his circle of allies, because he can definitely give him that information that he requires. So that is how we are going to help build our children a bigger circle of allies, which can be closer to him, which can be much further away. But this is somehow we have to tell them that they can approach people whom they think that are who are unapproachable, but definitely it will help them have a clearer picture as to what they should be doing and what kind of help they can get. So, if I look at myself, I think I fall in a lot of people's circle of allies. I mean, I get calls from people I don't know, I don't remember, but yes, I am in a helping profession, so I end up helping, and I listen a lot from my husband that you're always on phone, but can't help it. I am in the circle of a lot of people, so that goes without saying. So lastly, we come to the last activity. Again, you will decide how many you want to take in grade 11 or 12, starting from grade 8 up till 12, how many activities over the years, the level of activities. So it's just a indication that we are saying. So probably the last activity for you in grade 12 can be the backpack. So we use the metaphor of backpack as to, the backpack is right on their back, helping them, saving them all the time, protecting them. So that is what we are going to reflect together throughout their journey of being with us as to what all aspects of resilience or what kind of factors now they have in their backpack. So do they have a bigger circle of ally? And probably we just go back through all the activities that we did with them and talk about all the learning and whatever they learned. So that becomes a part of their backpack. And then, so this becomes the end of it. Parents, they come in again, where what the students do is they celebrate their elements in their backpack. They can, just be creative. I'm just talking about one aspect where, they can create a gallery wall where they have their names written and all the elements they have in their backpack, they're written on the gallery wall, and the parents go for a gallery walk and they see and probably just feel good about what all my child is taking from all these sessions in based on resilience. So what all elements my child now has with him, what are his circle of allies, what is my child thinking. So this brings them closer, and this helps the parent again be consciously aware that he or she has to be there with the child at every step and support their child. So that brings us to an end to the third part, and something that we said that we will be definitely focusing more on. So from here, where we go, I've been saying this over and over again, that it's just a reinforcement for all of us that, we do know resilience is important, but are we consciously putting it in our curriculum or not? We will reflect more on it, do it more. And do we have 2-3 minutes so that I can talk about a real life resilience story of a student? Thank you so much. Because this is kind of my success story, not my failure story. And, I love telling this story, not because I want you people to appreciate me, but I want you people to see that our children are resilient to a great extent. I mean, we don't even know the kind of ability they have, the innate ability they have. So they just need a little bit more prodding, I believe, on the way. So this goes back a few years back, where I was working with some other school, and there was this girl in grade 9, and like the teenagers are, okay, not like everyone else, but like few teenagers, she got influenced by a boy who was in college, or probably a college dropout, and she ran away with him while in school in grade 9. And imagine the kind of trauma the parents went through, and the school too, because we couldn't find the girl for the next 3 days. And it was after 3 days, because nobody knew where the girl is. After three days, the police found this girl and the boy in one of some close hill stations, and they brought them back to Delhi. And now imagine my plight as a counselor, because everything that is very tough comes back to a counselor, because counselor knows everything, and counselor can handle everything. It came back to me, but the hidden message I got was, we don't want this girl in the school. We don't want bad influence on other children. And very smartly, we have to just get rid of her. Not in words, but in a lot of different styles I got to hear. And even the parents, they didn't want their daughter to be in the school anymore. The girl didn't want to be in the school anymore because obviously she was too ashamed to come back. She knew that all her friends and the entire school knew about what had happened, and she couldn't face the teachers, she couldn't face anybody. So it was a tough situation where everybody wanted the girl out, including the girl. And it was only me who was, I don't know why, trying my best to, integrate her back into the class. So I don't know what my limits are, but I somehow remained persistent, and I told the principal and the parents that don't send her to her class, just send her to my office every day for a few days, and then we'll see. And she came to my office. I don't know, they agreed to this setting. And the only thing that they said was that she'll come after everybody has gone to the classes and settled. So she'll come around 9 o'clock. She'll be with me. And before the lunch break, just 2 hours or something, she'll be with me. And then she'll go back so that she doesn't get to see anybody and nobody gets to see her. And there's no other tension in their lives. So because, parent was adamant that they want to homeschool her and they're not going to send her anywhere. So it was obvious. Parents were really scared. So now, as it happened, she started coming to my office, and I did a lot of, reflections and a lot of sessions with her, and I got so much time. I misused her also. I made her do all my craft work and my, my my boards, my, my register, drawing lines over there and all that stuff. She happily did everything, and in the process, what we did was I kept on bringing her notebooks from her class. I had, put this duty on one of the girls, and this is how she was getting the works, and she was going back, doing the work, bringing the notebooks back. For 1.5 months, this arrangement kept on going on. And one day she herself said, "Ma'am, I want to go back to my class. I think I'm ready to face my friends and everybody." So I said, "Are you sure?" She said, "Yes." Manika, "What about your parents?" So she said, "They're okay if I am okay, and I have promised them to be a good girl now." So then we had a meeting, and they were like, "Okay, if you can protect her in the classroom where, she doesn't get to hear about these things." But then slowly, I talked to the class and everything, and she was finally integrated. And the story doesn't end here, wait. So she was integrated in the classroom, and she went on to do we had this subject, food production in our school, and we obviously, when we were together, we were planning what she's going to do and stuff. So when she came to grade 11, she took food production as one of the subjects. This teacher was another very good ally of mine who really helped me in bringing this girl up, and they became a very good, they had a very good bond. And she actually was the school topper in humanities, and then right now she is in Canada and she's working there. I mean, this is something that, I thought it's something we need to hear, because she was on the verge of leaving school, and she went on to do culinary science in Canada. She got a scholarship. They couldn't afford all that money. She got a scholarship, and she's working there. So that's the story. I mean, I try to keep it fast, but I don't know. I speak a lot sometimes. But, well, Ekta, are you there? Can we just take quick questions if we have any? Anything that you would like to hear?
I'm very much here.
Any questions from all of you? I think everybody's spellbound with the session and probably the takeaways. Yes.
No, they're all sleepy.
Hi, I have a small question.
Sure.
How do we introduce resilience as a concept to parents? How do we broach the subject with them? Because more often than not, we have parents who want to mollycoddle their children, who do the opposite of building resilience, which is they instill fear. Ki, oh, my child has to go abroad, I can't, how will my child live without me? No, it's not a viable option for my child. Like, they already come in with these kind of, ideas and notions. Of course, you have some parents who say, okay, not abroad, India. Then you have some parents who say, even within India, same city. Then your parents will say, even same city, I want my child to do a day scholar. I don't want my child getting out of my house. And I tell them, what you're doing is that you're building dependency. It is going to do the opposite of building resilience, which is needed in the world today. So how do you, as a counselor, approach this with parents? And you and, of course, Ekta ma'am as well, whoever, yeah.
See, Ekta, would you like to take this question or you tell me?
Yeah, I think you can go ahead.
Okay. Very smart. I can take it.
I just wanted to
I
add
can
a
take it.
sentence that
No, this is
you know
something that
what,
I face day in and day out. And this is something
yes,
I went
exactly.
through for some time as a parent when I had to send my son for college. And I think you have made a point. In fact, you've kind of validated my point that there is a need to build resilience because parents are doing their best not to build, right? And despite we find these kids, but then, the girl I was talking about was from a very different economic background. So, the kind of hardship she's seen, probably she had better skills to cope. But yes, the background of the children that you're talking about, so probably when I'm talking about that parent session that you're taking, so that is exactly what I'm trying to say, that it is required that what we did today, probably it becomes a demonstration for you to have all of this taken up with them, share few activities with them, what you're going to do with students, and tell them not to be the fourth leg of the chair, because that is what they become all the time, That's something that kills the innate ability of the child to actually stand up for what they can actually do it themselves. I mean, I'm happy to see my daughter tell me all the time, stop it, I can do it, stop it, I can do it. So, she kind of reminds me sometimes that, I don't have to do everything for her. So I think that can help. Anything else?
Just to add on,
Yeah, I think I can add on a little. Sorry.
please go ahead, Ekta.
No, I was just adding on to what Upasana said. Sometimes it gets a little tough and very tricky to work with parents. They would, as she said, they are doing everything, which will not build resilience. So in that case, I think we can empower the children, the students, so that they can come up with, telling the parents that no, I mean, we can really do it. As she said, her daughter tells her all the time. So all the more need to build in, of course, parents, if they are a part of the entire system, wonderful. But if they are not, I think, I guess it gets imperative for us to, build this value of resilience in them for sure.
I think I have another point here. I'm sorry, I'll just take a minute. Because while we are discussing this, I think there's a lot that goes on behind this. It's not just the parent and the child. I mean, we as schools, what are we doing? I mean, we are telling them to succeed in everything, to be first in everything. And now I see schools talking about let's celebrate failures, but are they doing it? I mean, are we celebrating our child going to, some place in, probably Zambia or to study or something? No, we don't. We are always, we were talking about that. We look at Ivy Leagues, and I also talk about 3 Cambridge admissions this year. I mean, what are we doing? We are not telling them to actually falter, fail, and then come out. And, when we say that, they say, ye sab baaton mein acha lagta hai. It's not something which is practical. And it does happen. So I think it's a systemic change we're talking about. Yes, Sami sir.
Yeah, I think I'm just itching to say that because by the end of it, if as schools we stop publishing the results and our placements, I think we've done the job. And if we build the stories at the end of the year, academic year, if we can tell the stories of resilience which children have lived and not publish how many A stars and how many A's and how many Cambridges and how many Oxfords, I think I've done my job. I'm really passionate about that. So sorry for...
No. That just tells me nobody was sleeping. You weren't listening. So, you've really scared me since yesterday, Karthik.
Another one small point is there are many tools. One of the tools I've been using is storytelling. I pick up Rashmi Bansal's books. Very simple
Wonderful.
reads. Introduce storytelling in your... Storytelling is the most powerful tool for parents and children to change. And as she rightly said, use children as a medium. Parents can be sorted very comfortably because they're living their own fears in the world they are living in, And as long as we don't celebrate failure, we'll only do lip service. There's nothing more than that. So.
Yes. You wanted to ask or say something?
So just what I wanted to add on is one, when we talk about resilience, let's not limit it to maybe career or something. It has to be the way of life. And you know what?
Yeah, definitely.
When we talk about academics in specific, getting 100 on 100 is not the end of everything. It's beyond. Your learning doesn't stop when you scored a certain number. And that is what we all showcase in the schools also. So there's many, many things which are beyond that 100. Yes. And that learning that the children have gone through doesn't stop there. And how we actually build on that, is that what we need to work as schools. And I would just cite a small example. In our school, in grade 3 and 4, we give this opportunity of building up on passion projects to our children. So they pick up a certain topic and they start working on it. And just one small example aside, there was this child who would share the desk with another, and very often his eraser would fall down. And this fellow was very troubled with the very fact that it didn't fall down every time. So eventually, he built up some device there that wouldn't let the eraser and his sharpener fall down. He stick it to the table somehow. So, and that is where, he kept working on the fact that it doesn't actually trouble him anymore. So things like very small example for a grade 3 child to bring in something that supports his learning, and probably he would keep working on such things in the future as well.
Yeah, design thinking, that's what design thinking
that's
is.
what it
You
is.
also were raising hand in the end. So maybe this, do we have any virtual audience? I can't see any, if they have any questions. We can share, definitely. It has references also, so it becomes open for all.
What I was going to say was the same thing you just highlighted, systematic change. Because even though when you have started your programs with inclusive of resilience, like starting from primary grades to secondary grades, and in the very final year, when you start focusing on that particular result, we are unlearning all the things that we have taught the children, like the leadership skills, the resilience set. For example, I'll take my school because I do promote how good they are practicing a holistic education. But for me, the biggest challenge is when it comes to the 10th standard, when they're sitting for their Cambridge board, the whole focus is only on education.
Here is holistic and only grades. Done. We are done with holistic.
Yes. Like, yes.
That is.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, in that 10th year, it's like they are actually merging what they have learned. They are going through a stressful time in where they are trying to focus on education and everything. But if we really focus solely on education and we are eliminating all the other things that we have taught them, how does their future goes? Will they be able to take up what they have learned in future? Like, the resilience should be always through, and like you said, it's a systematic change where the schools management have to focus on it, make sure that it is going, it's always taken along with it.
So maybe we can do our bit as career counselors, because we really cannot talk about
Yes.
changing everyone else, but
Yes,
whatever
exactly.
little we can do, so we have to do that. So maybe
And
that brings
I
the
would like
change.
to ask if I can participate in your survey, in this research work with you. I'm happy to participate because
why not?
currently I am working on the curriculum development, mainly on a career guidance curriculum that can be implemented all through the school. So I would love
More
to.
the merrier.
Exactly. Yes, very true. Yeah.
You know, the first jolt I got was when my kid was my first child. He's in college presently, but that time he was just probably in grade 5 or 6, and I was pushing him for his skating championship. And, practice. I mean, every day I'm bringing you to the sports complex, and now tomorrow is it, and, you have to practice today. Then, he's so casually, I mean, just a 4th grader telling me, Mama, it's just a medal. He's still like this. It's just a medal. I said, okay, yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, thank you so much, Ekta. Okay.
Thank you for having me, and it was so wonderful to listen
Yeah,
to
listening to all
everyone.
of them, and thank you for such a wonderful audience who participated. I mean, we've got so many
Yeah.
people to join us in our research work also, Ekta.
Awesome, wonderful.
I agree.